You gotta get up. Body me wake up and make a move, oh. Cause the world will never see you until you do. They don't really care, see they do you, oh. So make you show them, baby. Oh yeah, show them the real you. Oh yeah, show them what you get. No, don't let them say what you not, why you strong, oh. You can't bring no. You want more than 1,000 reasons why. You no need to perfect, baby. Cause nobody perfect, darling. No, there's nobody in the world will be like you. What do you do when you can't let go? What do you do when you just don't know how you feel? And you know, say nobody feel your pain. Everybody running, always not day by day. We they struggle for this world. You know you must do hustle. Just know that you're not alone. Oh, granny, no need for you to the form Anthony Joshua. Oh. You see, it's okay to ask for help. People go find you, but them not define you. And you will find people who go help redesign.
Hello and welcome to this lovely Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And you're on to the Touch Yourself show with Toyin and the gang. And I'm your host, Toyin Adeshola. The Touch Yourself show is an educational and awareness show that gives information about sickle cell and sickle cell issues. And it's a production of the Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative, supported by the Public Affairs section. So today we'll be talking about another topic in this series of finding your voice. How important it is as warriors, even as people who are going through different challenges, to find our voice so that we can speak out against stigma, speak out against ignorance, and also make something of our lives while helping other people. And today I have another guest. We call her Ibitayo Obama. And then he got stuck. But Ibitayo Ayeni, as she's called, is a trained nurse. She was formerly an accountant. I will ask her how she entered accountancy to nursing. But she's passionate about advocacy, education, and mentorship. And she's also the convener of I Am Not My SCD initiative. Welcome, Ibitayo. Sorry. So before I even enter, what has accounting got to do with nursing? Are you one of those people who like, oh, let me please my parents and do what I love?
No, it's actually the other way around. My mom wanted me to do nursing for the longest time. All my schooling was all in healthcare field. And then the plan was to go to medical school. But what happened was, in college, in university, I couldn't pass chemistry, basically. That's the gist of it. I failed chemistry several times. And so I wanted to graduate in a lesser amount of time. So I looked at my transcript and saw, like, what are my options, basically? And also within myself, I very good at math and English. So I figured, you know what, accounting is the next best thing. Also, I had friends in accounting and I was able to look at their textbook and see if it makes sense. And it did. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to switch. So I made that switch. And then I worked as an accountant, but corporate America is tough. So it was stressful. So then I just decided, you know what, let me try this nursing thing that they've been pushing down my throat, basically. So that's how I ended up in nursing. And I'm still, trying to advance my career in nursing right now.
Well, it's good. I must say, nursing. I find nursing. I remember when I was growing up, I wanted to become a medical doctor, and I felt, oh no. When by the time I got to hospital, so many times and saw all the goings on around me and the blood and all that. I said, nah, this is not for me. I'll admire it from afar. But anyway, God always has His way. I still enter this health sector in a way, which is good. But growing up, how was it for you? I know you lived in Nigeria before you now moved to the US. So how was it growing up for you?
Growing up for me was, I would say, middle class. It was okay. A backstory to my life. I was born to a doctor, a medical doctor, and a nurse. But what happened was the system in Nigeria failed them. So my mom got the wrong testing.
Yeah.
She went for her genotype testing. So they went on to like this, relationship, not knowing what was going or what was going to happen or what the error had been. So, but growing up was fine. It was okay. I grew up in Akure. I'd say it's a more laid back Lagos, very much laid back Lagos. I got sick, but not that much. I got sick because I wasn't hydrating myself, obviously. And also, I should point out that I didn't know my status until I was 13, yeah. So
wow.
So
they didn't tell you. They didn't tell you anything. Wow.
I was just living life. Yep.
But did you think that having parents as nurse and doctor helped you in understanding your health better in any way? Because I had my parents too. Well, mine was 1965, so of course nothing was known then. My parents were medical people, one doctor, one nurse, and it has its advantages. But I don't know how it was for you.
It had an advantage in the sense that my mom was very hands-on. She'll always check. I always wondered. Now it makes sense, but like she'll always check my eyes, and like when she saw that they were too yellow or something, or that my nails were too pale, or my palm was too pale, she'll have me either drinking something or eating something. And also because she was in the health field, she also had a pharmacy. So I had access to like whatever drug I needed to get better. I don't remember being admitted except for maybe one time. All my care was at my house. My mom cared. My mom did my care for the most part, and I guess with prayer, it worked out. It worked out really well for me.
So how much of a limitation did you experience growing up with sickle cell in terms of your schooling and all that? Did you feel limited in any way?
Because I had no idea. I didn't feel there was no limitation. Like I was just a regular kid. I would always hear about people talking about sicklers. I hate that word. But people talk about sicklers. And I'll just be like, oh, it had no meaning to me because I had no idea. So I was just living life like a regular kid. The times that I will get sick, I would get out of school, but I don't know how often I got sick now that I'm thinking about it, but I don't think it was that much for me to miss school or to miss exams. It didn't limit me in any way at all.
Okay, so by the time you found out you had sickle cell, you said at the age of 13. Okay, 13. Did your perception change?
At the age of 13 when I found out?
Yeah.
Did my perception... the stuff that I was hearing in Nigeria about sicklers now started clicking. And then it was hard for me to identify as one because I've lived this long, and I was just a regular kid. So it was like, okay, I guess okay. It was just like, that's cool, I guess, but I don't identify with it. The only other way I could say it affected me at 13 or changed my perspective was that because at that time was when we moved to America. So we moved during the winter time. And
wow.
yeah. So I had came to this new environment, new weather. I didn't know that I was supposed to be keeping extra warm. I just knew it was cold, but I didn't have like that. It didn't click to me, so I noticed that I was getting sick. I got sick a few times in the first year when we moved here, and that's when they actually told me about my diagnosis and stuff. But change my perspective? No, not really. The only other thing I can say about that is that obviously you don't want to tell people, or there's this culture of not exposing, or I don't even know if it's conscious, but there's this thing of like, oh, that's my business, I'm just gonna keep it to myself.
Don't tell anybody.
It's not that nobody told me not to tell anybody, but deep down, from what I've heard about sicklers, in the back of my head, I was thinking, you know what, I don't want, like, I'm normal. I don't want people to judge me based on like this thing that I have, because I don't identify with being that or fitting that description of what a sickler was.
Yeah, exactly. So at what age did you move to America?
Like I want to say 12 and a half. I was turning 13 when we moved.
Okay, it was earlier anyway. It was pretty early. So in terms of your experience in treatment in Nigeria, and when you got to America, did you see was in America, was there a lot of information about sickle cell then compared to when you were here?
So because I didn't really go to hospitals in Nigeria, I was always treated at home, and it was always malaria or this, or I don't know. We term every sickness in Nigeria is malaria. But when I got here, obviously there was more definition to like what was happening or what was going on with my body. And obviously my first time being in a very well equipped environment, like medical environment, and you have doctors coming in every time, you have lab coming in every morning, you have oxygen. That was like the first time I ever had oxygen in my life. You know what I mean? And I always had like my primary care appointments very frequently. So I learned from there, actually more than anywhere else. From those appointments, I learned what it is that I have. Maybe at that point, because it didn't register in my brain, I wasn't too attached or attentive to like whatever they were saying. I just knew, okay, I have sickle cell. Okay, that's nice. But like all this stuff they were teaching you, like, you have to keep warm, you have to do this. I'm just like, okay. But as a teenager, like an early teenager, you don't want to. What do you mean? I can't go outside. Like, hello, my friends are outside. No. So, I mean, there was information, but at that age, I couldn't quite grasp or like click. It didn't click for me.
Yeah, exactly. So, when did you have your first major crisis, if you had any at all, and what was your experience, mentally and physically?
Major crisis. The only major crisis that stands out, I don't remember it because apparently I passed out.
Wow.
And that was the first time I got my transfusion. I was in ICU for a couple of days. I think I was maybe 14 or thereabout, 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember it, but the only
Mm-hmm.
other one I can say I definitely remember is the recent one in January, and it has traumatized me. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. The experience was not great. Um, I find that even in this day and age, with all the information, with all the awareness or whatever that you have out there, um, that medical healthcare people, nurses, providers, and all that, they still question your pain, or they
Mm.
don't listen
They
to,
think they're pretending.
or they don't listen to what you're telling them. So at this age, I know exactly what's going on in my body. I know exactly what I need.
Mhm.
And then if I come in and I'm asking, like, this is what is going on, this is what I need, this is what, would work to take control of the pain, you still have people like doubting me. Like, it was just terrible.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that's the only experience I can say.
I find it's a universal challenge. In fact, recently, as part of the actual radio program, we've been talking about the rights of warriors,
Yeah,
and the issues between medical personnel, especially you being a medical person, between doctors
that's
and
happening.
nurses, how most of the time they don't believe you, and they don't listen to you because you know your body. But sometimes they just feel that they quote unquote know it all, or know that no, this
But they
is what
want
you
to
should
run tests. Yeah.
Yes. So how? Okay, now yeah. Like my father would say, yeah, the both sides of the fence.
Hmm.
How do
I
you deal with such situations? Especially you being a medical person, and then you're facing another medical person who is telling you this is this is what it is.
um it's tough because you're in a vulnerable state, right? But at the same time, you have to now advocate for yourself and start,
Mm,
calling people. Thank God I have my family is very involved and they're close to me. We live in the same building. But then I have to call my mom to, get here and like talk to these people because I'm about to lose my stuff. But I feel like maybe the way forward is to have some kind of a what do you call it? Maybe like a hotline, like a advocacy hotline where patients can call and
mhm.
people can get what, like, other people that are in the right state of mind and know what, are very vast with the disease can then
Yeah.
advocate people like us. Like, it's you think they will listen to a nurse, right? Because
What
it's
hope
like,
do we have?
why would I be here looking for drugs, like, if I didn't need it? Like, hello. So it's still difficult. um on top of the pain, you have to advocate for yourself. That's it. You just have to keep advocating and like, if you have to call the patient advocacy of that establishment to get them involved and like get them to look into your treatment plans and all of that, then do that.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of advocacy, how would you encourage someone? Because I mean, here it's even more. You find people, like I tell people they're in hospital. Okay, what did this doctor say? I don't know. What did they give you? I don't know. How would you encourage warriors to be more conscious of what is made available to them by doctors, and sometimes to even speak up for themselves? Because I remember when I was growing up with sickle cell, maybe because like you have, I had medical people in my family, so I knew what was what.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times I spoke up, because I knew I was allergic to certain drugs. I will tell you straight away, you
Yeah.
dare not give me that drug. I will tell you, this is the only time I ever fell a victim to such issues is if when I found myself I didn't speak up, or I didn't bother asking the doctor because I took it for granted that it's in my case notes he should already know. But sometimes you have to speak up despite the fact that what is written in your case notes is there, because sometimes it may gloss over it. So what would you tell warriors in trying to advocate for themselves?
Yeah. So a way for people to advocate for themselves is to, first of all, do your own research about what the disease is and the disease process. Understand what you actually have, because then if you have that knowledge, then you can then start doing other things, and then you expand your own knowledge about what's going on, and you are able to now teach other people that maybe don't have such in-depth understanding of your disease. So the first thing I would say is knowing. You have to know what you have. Research it, Google it, talk to people, other people that have it. You know what? And then after that, the other thing is maybe educating the people around you as well. The people that are possibly, if you have a crisis, would be around you. And then if it makes it easier for you, maybe write it down, almost like carrying a medical card, a medical information card type of situation. So any way that you can have information on you, not just inside of you, because sometimes you might have all this knowledge, but you're too sick.
Weak or pain to talk. Yes.
To communicate that. So maybe carry a medical card. Maybe have an agency like yours that they have your information. Maybe they know what's going on, what your baseline and all of that is. And then if anything pops up, if anything is happening in the hospital or with wherever you are, you can call the agency, and the agency can get you help and get you the right treatment. Either that, or have someone in your family that's just as educated as you to help you advocate for yourself. Well, it starts from knowing what you have. You have to know.
Exactly. Yeah. So, which brings me to the question. You started this initiative, I am not my SCD. In fact, when I first had it, I was like, wow. It reminded me of when I used to say, I have sickle cell, but sickle cell does not have me.
Yep.
When you now brought out that, I said, wow, this is very apt. But first of all, what made you think of the name before I now start talking about the initiative itself?
What made me think of the name? It was just self-explanatory. Like, I just didn't, like, as much as that's my diagnosis, I really truthfully don't dwell on it. I am not defined by it. It seemed like the name was going to be too long, but I was just like, you know what? I'm just going with it. And that's that. So there was no like in-depth thinking about it. It was just exactly what and who and how I identify myself as a person.
Yeah. So what got you to think of starting it? Yeah, in US, and I know you do stuff in Nigeria as well. It's organizations like us and other people, and I know you do, or sometimes do stuff in your home state as well.
Yes.
So what made you think about getting involved? Because some people will be comfortable out there. Oh, I have no issues. US healthcare is good, work is good, family is good. What made you delve into that?
So the reason why, so I've never been this person that's, like I told you, I grew up not knowing my diagnosis until I was 13, 14, maybe 13. So, and then even after knowing it, I didn't talk about it. The only reason you would know is if I go into a crisis and you're around me, and then I would tell you, oh, I'm having a crisis. I have sickle cell. This is what I need. So even like some of my closest friends, like family friends that we basically grew up together, most of them didn't know until I started speaking out in 2016, maybe around that time. So what made me decide was I had seen other people speaking up.
Hmm.
So I first knew about Afrikim, who's
Yes.
Buki.
Okay. Yeah.
I knew about her. I've seen I've seen stuff from her. No, you know what? The first person I knew about was Tosin.
Okay, Buckner. Yes.
Yes, Buckner. Tosin, I was like, okay, this was like way, way, way back. Oh, like maybe when she was starting her career and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, that's cool. But like, I didn't pay mind to it. So then years later, I now heard about African. We had a common friend. We have few friends in common. So, they'll tell me, oh, African, African this, African that. So I now went to Twitter. I went and checked that out, and I was just like, oh my god, like this is my person. And then from then searching that, I found you. And then who else did I find? I found maybe one other person. I want to say you, Buki, and Genotype.
Okay.
Yep. It was three of you. And it just gingered my spirit, like, oh my god, like this, yes, I believe in this movement, like my voice, and also because there's this stereotype associated with people who have sickle cell, that they look a certain way, behave a certain way, and I did not fit any of those things, like none, not one of those boxes. If I didn't have crisis, you would not know. Okay. So that was what gingered me. I was like, you know what? I have so much passion about people in general. I have so much compassionate about the disorder. I feel like we just need more education and more people speaking up and sharing their experiences. So I felt like I needed to speak up, and not fitting into that mode that everybody had in their mind would break or would make people stop and realize that you know what, it's not in the face,
Yeah.
like, it's not.
I know this
At all. So I wanted to also show another side of sickle cell, like what sickle cell looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
In different form, and a different form of it. So I wanted to share that story with people.
Exactly. Yeah. So how has it been in this journey since you started the initiative? What changes you think need to be done concerning? I know there are lots, but I'm sure you have some specific areas that you feel needs a bit of change in terms of awareness and advocacy.
So my experience in the journey is mostly centered in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So I can only speak of the experiences I've had in Nigeria. As much as I feel like the information is out there, people know, but I don't think they take it as, at least not people that are not learned. So I mean, even like some people who went to school still don't care, but like most people that don't have a certain level of exposure or education still don't know the importance of what we are doing or why we're fighting and talking and speaking. So
Yeah.
the challenge there, and that's the vast majority of Nigeria. The vast
Exactly.
majority is not the educated part that knows not to marry somebody with the with the trait and stuff if they're not compatible. The
Yeah.
vast majority are those people that are outside of Lagos. Some of them are in Lagos, but most are outside of Lagos. And
Yes.
there's so much, like, I feel like the Lagos
Concentrate.
yeah, so saturated, and then to be more like exporting all this knowledge and all these resources outside of like the main cities, because that's what makes the majority of our population. Yeah, and then the other thing is just the government. The government are not, they don't take it serious. It's not, even though it's a World Health Organization crisis, no one is taking it serious but the people that are running NGOs that are doing this work.
Yeah.
The policies are not, I saw some, and I'm just like, are you kidding me?
I
you
know.
you
I
share
know.
all the
I'm
experiences,
going to
and I'm
ask
just
you
like,
that.
what?
I think I understand their fears, like considering that I understand their fears, but I think like everything in Nigeria, we like to kill an ant with a sledgehammer,
Mm.
where there are underlying issues that need to be dealt with before you even go in that direction. Because really, how many people are aware? How many people know? Some people are still in the it's a spiritual thing aspect,
Or
or the
they'll
person.
play it off.
Oh, exactly. So we have not dealt with that. And then, like the instance of your parents, we have not dealt with wrong genotype testing.
Yes.
It still exists and it's still rampant. So um, until we deal with all these issues, you can't say somebody is going to be penalized for something and all that stuff. But that's a whole kettle of fish that I always have to discuss and explain to people. But there's a lot of emotions involved when in making decisions for
Mhm.
or against such issues. But I just feel that sometimes we need to look at the bigger picture, the macro picture, and look deeper into the root cause of certain issues. It's like putting a plaster over a wound and not dealing with why the wound is even existing in the first place.
Mhm.
So it's a challenge, but we'll get there.
I know, little by little,
Yeah, but
one step at a time.
something I wanted to ask, in terms of awareness, you're talking about, yes, a lot of people have talked about the fact that we need to go out into the villages, in the rural areas, and everything. But one thing I've learned, because somebody was saying, but well, sometimes we go there, we tell them the message, but I always want to ask, do they really get it, or are we passing out the information to their level of understanding?
So with that, I think it's two things. You need to pass the information in the language that the person can understand, in the most simplest form that the person can understand.
Mm.
Um, if you have to do hands-on, it's not always word, it's not always writing. There's different forms of education or ways to communicate your message. And then the second thing would be follow up. Okay. I think that's where maybe we drop the that's where we drop the ball.
Yes, and
So we're going to all these rural places, we're doing all this stuff, but there's no proper follow up to make sure that these people, because you can't learn, this topic is so vast, you can't
yeah.
learn in one day or maybe every once a year or whatever the case is. It needs to be like a constant, like a constant learning and education. So I think that when we make the decision to go to all these places, it's good, but also have a plan in place on um, how to sustain,
Yeah.
continue to educate,
With
so
them,
that
yeah.
you can empower those people. Because at the end of the day,
Mm.
you and I cannot always go back to
With
those
them,
places.
yeah.
You need to empower people in those areas that would then go into the communities, their churches, the markets, the mosque, wherever, and that wherever they go, then they can impact those things that they've learned to their
Mm-hmm.
communities. And that way, there's a ripple effect of like us enlightening people and making them understand why it's important to know this thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like training the trainer thing, where
Yes.
you train somebody, and then the person now
Yes.
carries the information, trains another person, and there's
Mhm.
a ripple effect.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but when it comes to education and awareness, I feel the most influential people in doing that are people living with sickle cell,
Hmm.
because they know what they've gone through, they understand it better, and apart from the health aspect. Because sometimes I feel, okay, when we go to the medical doctors to explain, it's a bit, maybe should I call it, grammatical for people.
Mm.
So I feel that people, just regular people with sickle cell, can explain better. But you find that those are the ones that don't want to come out. Those are the ones who don't want to be seen that, oh, because I was talking to another lady, Audrey, and she was like, before she didn't want to go out and tell people, but then she became brave and started telling, and people will be looking at her one way or the other, and then but she just tried to ignore them. But there are
Mhm.
people who are not, how like call it, strong-willed like that.
Mhm.
But we need a lot of people who have sickle cell to be able to go out into their, I mean, it doesn't have to, you don't even have to go to the village, even your environment where you
Mhm.
are, speak up and educate people about it. But then you find people like us not wanting to come out. So how do you think we can combat this?
How we can combat? You know what? The stigma is so deep rooted
Oh,
in our environment, in our communities, in our nation, that we honestly, I don't know, because I personally struggled with it, and
mm,
sometimes even up until now, I sometimes still feel like, you know what, I just want to withdraw back into my shell,
mm,
because you can almost feel the judgment and people
mm,
just, labeling you. Despite what you've done, you still are referred to as that person.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
I'm beyond that person. You won't go to, or like try to introduce or talk about someone with cancer, that's diagnosed with cancer. You won't say, oh, that cancer person, or that, I mean,
mm-hmm.
they still do it. Some people do, because we're just so, there's no filter. Like, Nigerians have no filter. So so it can be very discouraging and scary for people to want to come out and talk about their experiences, or but what I can say has helped is, if you have a solid support in your life, that's where it starts from. Okay,
Mm,
your support system literally makes you how you're going to be in the world. um So if you're if you grew up in a family where your parents don't really care, they're always cussing you, oh my god, you've started again, this and that, obviously
mm,
your confidence level is gonna be trash.
yeah,
So what I would say is, surround yourself with people that would boost your confidence, people that will support you, that are actually, that they mean well, they
yeah,
care about you, your welfare, they care about your mental health, they care about everything about you, and they are not embarrassed about you. They affirm you, they encourage
yeah,
you. Once you start getting that ginger, sooner or later, you would, all the noise and all the stuff that people are saying would not even matter, and
exactly.
you would not care. You will get to a point where it's like, I'm living my life, deal with it, like, this is me. So that's the only way I can think of, that's the only thing I can say helped me to be able to speak so freely and so
Yeah.
confidently about things, is because my support system, my friends, my aside from my family is already like hands on. My
Mm-hmm.
friends take personal interest in my life, in my well-being, in building me up, in encouraging me, in, like, I still have people. So there's a particular friend of mine. She's my acquaintance, but she's now become like a friend. Doing She's one person that would always ask, "So what's up? What are you doing now? We haven't heard from you on the page. What's going on? You need to do more. You need to do this. You have a voice." And like, you have people like that that will come into your life and will ginger you more. Like, I've separated myself. I've not been posting about sickle cell stuff for a while. I kind of took
Mm-hmm.
a step back, but
Yeah.
it's people like that that encourages you, that will push you further. They're supportive. Everything you post, they're reposting. You know what I mean? So those
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
encourages you to want to do more, or even if not more, you at least do something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. So now that we're talking about parents and giving your child self-confidence, what would you say to parents who maybe they've not, the children have not really grown to how to empower their children to speak for themselves, because I know that is a lot of things we see. Parents like feel that the child, especially from low income homes, which is understandable because of financial pressure and all that, they begin to say all sorts of things about the child, neglect the child. But what should you say to somebody? Okay, I have a child with sickle cell. How do I help that person? So what would you say?
As a parent, I think it's your job, even if they don't have sickle cell. You as a parent, your job is to steward and like instill as much good stuff into your children's life. They didn't ask to be here.
Mm,
You brought them, your decision brought them here. So now you have to be selfless. That's where you become selfless, and it's not about you anymore, it's about that child. Regardless of your frustration, your whatever you're dealing with, the child, they don't care. They're here.
mm,
So don't take that frustration out on your children. If you're frustrated, take a step back. Leave. Close the door. Send the child away. Go play outside. Leave me alone. Like have your moment without the child knowing. But then when you now are calm, make sure you're communicating and making them understand it's not because of them. You have to affirm your child and make sure um you know you make sure that they don't feel like they're the cause of your bad day or bad attitude. Um,
exactly.
Communication is key, obviously, and then affirming and just be conscious. Like when you're getting to that space where you're getting frustrated, just go away, go to your room, lock yourself up. Um, Also, the power of prayer. That's me.
Yes,
That's
yeah.
what has
That's
worked.
the ultimate.
That has
That's the
worked.
ultimate.
That has worked tremendously for
Yeah,
me, myself, and I. That's all I can speak of. Um,
exactly.
my mom was very, actually, my entire family, my parents were very prayerful. And I think it affected the way I turned out in so many
Mm,
ways. Like the prayers they prayed. There was this post some years ago that it's probably still on my page. Um, Someone had said, when you pray for a miracle, it's not just when you don't have, like you having this condition and still able to function in the capacity that you
yeah.
are, and you're still alive and you're still able to do things. That in itself is a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm personally not waiting for this miracle of like, oh, my genotype, even though I know it's possible.
Mm,
I'm not waiting or dwelling on
exactly.
that fact that, oh, I'm waiting for when the medical
Something to
record.
happen. Exactly.
Yeah, and then they said, oh, your genotype is now AA or whatever. I'm not waiting for that. I'm living in my present miracle, which is I'm travel a lot. I'm able to work. I have a supportive family and friends. I have roof over my head. I'm in good health for the very, very most part. I don't really get sick.
Mm,
I have this knowledge that alone is a miracle and a blessing to me and the people around me. So like I don't dwell on what isn't. I appreciate the miracle that's happening right now.
yeah,
And
no,
that's all.
exactly. So that brings me to the question: what does living beyond sickle cell mean to you?
Living beyond sickle cell is not living as if you don't have it. That's the gist of it. I live as if it's not even as if it is. Okay. I just live. I'm living. I'm living. That's it. No
Yeah.
excuses. No, I know my limits. Okay. Whatever it is that does not go well with my body or that can trigger anything. I'm very aware of my body. I'm very aware of my triggers. At the first sign of anything, I pause. I take a chill pill. I would tell people, listen, I need a minute. Okay. But once you give me that, would you rather give me maybe like 15-20 minutes to get myself together, take my medicine, chill or whatever?
Mhm.
Or would you rather me be out for a week?
Yeah.
So living beyond sickle cell is living intentionally, living without without limitation,
Mhm.
living without feeling pity on yourself.
Mm.
Um, I don't identify. I am, but I don't dwell in that diagnosis at all. I've
Yeah.
never done it. Probably will never do it.
Yeah. 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 So, what would do you want the world to do better for sickle cell community, for the sickle cell community in the near future?
The world needs to be more kind in the way you describe people. Don't stigmatize people. Okay,
Mm.
calling people sickler, it's such a it's triggering. Is I think personally to me, I think it's triggering. It's because it has this bad connotation to it. It has this bad history to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's demoralizing. So shy away from calling people that, first of all. Also be kind, be understanding. It's not that we can't do it. We might just take slower time sometimes, not all the time. It's not that we can't do what you want us to do, but just be understanding in the fact that, okay, this person needs their own. It's like giving people special grace. So this person has this diagnosis. Um, so I'm going to give them that grace and time to do what they need to do, but knowing that they are smart enough to do it, they are well capable to do it. Um, sickle cell does not affect your intelligence, so
Exactly. In fact, I think we have quite a bit of intelligence. I always tell people what we do may not have in strength, we have in mental capacity.
the amount of the amount I always think the amount of time that you spend being by yourself, because I feel
Mm.
like most people that have sickle cell are always by themselves for the most part. You have so much time to think and reflect, the time that other people don't have to stop and think and like get enlightened. I feel like
Mm.
we have that time, and a lot of
Mm.
us are very creative in different
Yeah.
ways. So like you find that there's no we don't have a boundary to like how we are, how we manifest, and how much impact we can have, because this brain that we have, oh my god, it's there's a lot. And I'm like, I'm barely tapping into like my potential.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact I'm barely tapping into it, and most of it
Yeah.
is due to fear, but
Yeah.
we're working through that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you on that. Yes.
Yeah,
I think we all have that capacity to do things, but because we have that fear that, oh, if I do this, what will happen and all that.
yeah,
But I think it's just up to us to trust God and just go for it
and
at
just
the
go,
same time.
just go.
Yes.
Mhm.
So if there's anybody that has any comments, questions, please put on the Facebook page, YouTube page. Uh,
Someone on my live is asking if I have ever experienced AVN,
okay.
pulmonary hypertension, or chronic leg ulcer.
Yes, what's that?
I have
Yeah,
not. I have not. I know those are like very
I have
prevalent.
all. I have had it.
It's a very prevalent issue
Yeah.
that I've noticed in Nigeria.
Mm.
I don't know. I guess here too, but I personally can't identify with those struggles. Honestly, I don't know. I don't have an explanation for why. Honestly,
Right. Yeah.
I
I
don't,
don't ask myself that question too because I see it so much. I said, is it the
yeah,
weather? Is it the fact that we have to walk around a lot? Or I really try to figure out. I don't know. I really don't know
I
why.
honestly don't know. I think I know it has a lot to do with your vascular health.
Health, yeah.
Um And all of that has to do with the kind of diet you have,
Mm.
hydration, and all of that. And also just paying attention to like whatever wound, if you injure yourself, whatever wound, whatever is happening to you, don't take it lightly. Don't just take it
Yeah.
at face value. Because something that's like that happens to a regular person, when it happens to you, can turn to like a catastrophe.
Yes.
It can turn to madness really quickly. So I think we need to be more, we need to preach that more as well. What I've noticed in Nigeria is I notice a lot of people don't have proper footwear, and that is the first problem. First of all, you are in an environment that is like, it's not
Rocky,
clean.
rocky road.
Yeah, there's dirt everywhere. Why would you want to expose or expose yourself to gashing your foot against something sharp or anything on the floor? Oh, and maybe another thing that helped me. I don't walk around barefoot at all.
Mm.
I've never been that person. Even if I'm in my house, I have one house slippers or something.
Mm.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really don't know. I just feel like it's your diet, possibly how many crises you have. Yes, that would definitely contribute to it. I don't have that many crises at all. So possibly maybe that's why I don't have those issues.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we've spent quite a bit of time. It's about 5 minutes past. But my final question would be, what words of encouragement would you say to warriors out there, to be able to stand strong? Because people go through a lot. And now that the COVID is here, self-isolation, there's also the mental and emotional part of it. I know that I've been there. So there's self-isolation because you have pre-existing condition, but yet you have to do stuff as well. So what words of encouragement do you have for people with sickle cell?
Word of encouragement. So I was struggling with that. I've been struggling with that as well. Especially because I actually caught COVID.
Wow. Really?
It's been
should
a
have-
it's been an
You should have
interesting.
told us the experience.
It wasn't dramatic. I caught a mild strain,
Yes.
but even with like the social atmosphere, the what's going on in the world, because the pandemic, the racial tension, it's just a lot. Mentally, I'm drained. As I'm speaking, I'm drained. But I was on someone's live earlier today, and I was just like, where do we go from here? Because I know with everything that's happened, I feel like there will be a lot of people that will experience PTSD. So I was just like, where do we go? Like, how do we go about this looming PTSD that's going to be gangster, basically?
I know.
And the person said something that struck me, and which is feel the emotion. Don't
deny it. Yes.
deny it. You know how many times I've cried. Okay.
I know.
I have cried so many times. I've cried today. Okay. Feel the emotion. Surround yourself with people that will pour into you. In whatever capacity, people that are supportive. Again, when you have that supportive, positive energy, it helps a lot. And another thing that I do is I listen to uplifting music. I watch things that are fun. Anything
Funny.
that laugh. I'm up for it. I'm up for it. Okay. And then the new thing that I'm actually going to be conscious about is leaving social media. I need a break. I cannot deal anymore. I can't deal. Oh man.
Oh dear. Oh gosh, the social media can be addictive, yeah.
It's not just
And then
addictive. There's so many bad news. It's
news,
not good.
yeah,
It's not good for your mental health. It's
yeah.
at this point I've reached. I feel like I've reached my threshold. I just need to step back.
Yeah, I was even telling myself that what did we do to 2020? Just let's
Serious.
move
You know, someone said that the same person that told me to feel your emotions said that worse things happened in 2019, the year and 2018 and the years before. More people died in those years than in 2020, but because we're at a standstill, we all have to sit down. You're not going anywhere. So now you have more attention. Your attention is now drawn to all this stuff
negative
happening. And you
news,
feel like,
yeah.
but it's like it's been happening. This is not news. It's just that because we are in this period where we've never had to stop. Everywhere shut down. Everybody was in their house. So
Yeah.
it has a lot more heaviness to it because of that. But again, feel your emotions, cry if you need to, let it out. Let it out. Feel it, let it out, and move on. That's it.
Thank you so much. This has been a very interesting edition of the Touch Shell Show. It's been nice talking to you and good to even see you one-on-one, face-to-face, not all the WhatsApp chats we do once in a while.
No, I know.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank
And for those of us who are able to watch, I hope you'll be able to get something. Remember, you can reach us on our social media handle on @SAMI Update, SAMI Update. And we'll be glad to answer your questions as well. This has been a production of Sickle Cell Advocacy and Management Initiative, SAMI, and supported by the Public Affairs section of the US Consulate. Till we meet next week, Wednesday, it's been a great time and a great day. Have a lovely weekend.
you.
Thank
Too.
you. Bye.
Bye.